Hi, I am Stephen J. Cochran, author and game designer. For the last 5 years, I've been working on my latest creation, Morticians, a tabletop role-playing game. On Living with Reaper, we'll be sharing insight into storytelling, the game's design, and lore. So sit back in that recovered lounge chair and crack open a ration. This is Living with Reaper. Hello, and welcome to another Living with the Reaper. I am your host, Steve. Really excited to be doing this today. The first one was a little rough. I hope that we've gotten through all of the bugs and issues that we have and that you guys are seeing this unimpeded. First, some news. So just so you know, currently on, let's see if this went through. I set up some things here there we go. Yeah, Drivethru-RPG. A digital version of Crossroads, the introductory undertaking, is now live on Drivethru-RPG. It's your chance to play the game before the hard copy comes out. The core rulebook will be coming out later this year, and this is our way to reach out to the audience, kind of show what the world is about and your opportunity to play it. We have a starting rulebook that needs to go with the Funeral Director's Guide and the pre-generated character portfolios. And as added bonus, pay what you will. We have tokens and maps that are usable on Roll20. I only use Roll20, so I don't know how well they'll work, but they are just items that you can download, so go ahead and check that out. I will have links in the comments after the stream, but you can find it at Drivethru-RPG just by searching for Morticians RPG or Cox and Media LLC, and all of our products will be available for you. Also, I'd like to announce our Patreon is now live. If you're a fan of Ladies of the Hoard, we have a Patreon called Postmortem, in which me, Jackie, and the ladies do kind of a roundtable after each episode, in which you can get insight into the characters' decisions, some of their emotional states as they play, the mechanics. We do a little bit of world delving in that Patreon, so go ahead and check it out. Subscriptions is only $5, and there are hours and hours and hours of backlog of postmortems from episode 5 all the way up to the current episode 16 that just went live this morning. Speaking of back episodes, if you haven't checked out the shows yet, we've got 2 shows on our YouTube channel. Let's see here. We're going to get with this. Let's see if we can do this a little Y. Let's do this and transition. Yeah, there we go. It worked. Totally awesome. On YouTube, we have 2 series. One of them live, one of them is already finished. The one that's finished is called The Wolf Pack, where me and 4 of my friends first started playing Morticians to kind of work out some of the bugs. It's a very beta test. It's very, very rough, but lots of fun. So you can check out The Wolf Pack on our YouTube channel. Also, back episodes of Ladies of the Hoard. If you haven't checked out Ladies of the Hoard, it's live right now. We do a live stream every other Saturday on Twitch via @JaxMarieGaming. So check out @JaxMarieGaming. I believe she's live right now over on Twitch. But our back episodes are on YouTube, and we upload. Episode 16 is going to go live this Saturday, so we're really excited about that. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the Ladies of the Hoard or the Wolf Pack, I definitely think go ahead and check that out. It's a load of fun. It's just a bunch of friends having a good time playing a role-playing game. Really excited. Next week, we're going to have our first episode of The Zombie Trail, another series that we're starting with a whole new set of players. This is an opportunity for @JaxMarie to come and actually play and not be a funeral director. We're going to record those and then upload them on YouTube. So the first recording will be next Thursday. So we're really excited for that to come around. And we'll have some logos and links for you guys in the future for that. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Digital version now available on Drivethru-RPG. Let's see, get rid of that. There we go. Hey, awesome sauce. Anyway, I'm glad to see you guys today. So the first one was a little rough. We talked about planned obsolescence in tools and equipment, and why the zombie apocalypse takes place in 2012, and the game takes place 7 years after that. We talked a little bit about hope, but it looked like the stream cut out a little bit, so I wanted to go back over and talk a little bit more about this idea of hope that I wanted to kind of explore with Morticians. I've played many zombie games. I love them to death. The zombie lore and the zombie world is probably one of my favorite places to play into. And for a lot of the games, it's survival, not thriving. And people never get that sense that they'll be able to make it. It's them versus the world, and the stakes are so high that the games are very, very daunting. And I wanted to create a zombie world where not only can you survive and the stakes are still high and dangerous, but the players had an opportunity to thrive. Humanity has an opportunity to thrive, and everything through the lore and the world that I built with Morticians kind of runs around that theme. When developing how many zombies, how bad the plague was, how hard did it hit, I approached it from a rule of 3, in which 60% of the population is infected by bacteria Z and dies, and only 30% of the population survives. Of that 30%, 20% die out due to exposure, raiders, not being able to cope with the surrounding, self-harm, so that at the end of the day, all that's left of the living that have survived is 10% of the population. It's not an extinction level event, but one that definitely knocks humanity and mankind back on their heels and make them readdress how to survive this world. So with that in mind, how do we build things back together? And again, here's where hope comes in. We know what happens when there's an earthquake. I've said this before, a fire, a flood. Anytime there's a natural disaster, there is in the beginning a moment of unlawfulness and disarray. But afterwards, as things settle down, we do come together as a people and we work together. We are pack animals, and we like to make our tribes, and we like to make our tribes stronger. So with that in mind, the Morticians world in Sanctuary Valley is a collection of organizations and groups, all with the same purpose of just surviving and thriving and growing and trying to maintain humanity. So it's fun to explore ideas like, how much do we hold on to the past? What do we deem as important? What do we let go in order to build for a future? What does that future look like? And having this cataclysmic event allows the players, the heroes, the adventurers to go out and explore this abandoned, ruined world and to reclaim technology. And, I mentioned this last game, but like, how long does it take before something slides from technology to magic? And I think 7 years isn't long enough for that to happen. But what's fun about Morticians is you can play in the universe a little bit farther. You could be 14, 21, 50 years after the zombie apocalypse, the second, third generation of the children of the survivors going out. How do they deem the world? How do they find technology and interpret it for what it is? I'm a big fan of the journalist Graham Hancock, in which he says we are a people with amnesia. We're a society with amnesia. And what that means is he believes that 12,500 years ago, we were hit with asteroids and it reset civilization. And I find that idea really interesting, that we were more advanced beforehand and now we're not as advanced as we once were, but we are starting to catch up to where we had been. And that idea of exploring the world through a native's eyes of our ancestors going, oh shit, I found this thing and I don't know what it does, but I'm trying to reproduce it, right? Like, how long does it take before we forget how to manufacture sound equipment? Just sound equipment. It's very radios are very very simple devices to make. In fact, in the Boy Scouts when I was younger, I made one with a plank of wood, a strip of copper, a safety pin, and a razor. Believe it or not, and with very small tools, you can reproduce a radio. However, the transmitter to transmit those signals is a lot more complicated. And so, at what point do we abandon that form of communication for something a little bit more, primitive? So, those ideas kind of embed all of the Morticians world and how we kind of play around with our environment, and how people should be affected by that. Again, there's always bad guys in the world. There's always one jerk. You know, currently they believe statistically that 1 out of 10 there's a bad guy. And what does that mean, a bad guy? Someone who's willing to lie, someone who's willing to steal, someone who's willing to undercut their neighbor for their own personal good. So 9 out of 10 are good, generally good people. They don't lie, they don't steal, they worry, they have empathy for their fellow men. After a cataclysm, zombie apocalypse, I played with that ratio a little bit, and I say it's 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 people are cutthroat. So there's some stakes. So as your group goes out and explores the world around you, you're going to come across bikers and raiders and roadmen who are desperate for their own survival and believe that the only way they can survive is to attack, rob, and steal, and enslave or push down their fellow man. But we added some nuances to that as well. We have a tribe called the Nomads. And the idea behind the Nomads was this. People run when they're scared, and nomads continue to run. They have taken on the idea that society was the reason, that large numbers is what caused the zombie apocalypse. And so they keep their groups very, very small. And I kind of look to Star Wars and the Tusken Raiders for the idea of nomads. Are Tusken Raiders bad? No, they're just a group of people living on a very uninhabitable rock trying to survive and are concerned about their own community. Interactions with Tusken Raiders, or the nomads for that purpose, are they could be good or they could be bad. There are a reflection of the characters' interactions with them. So if you have a bunch of murder hobos who are going around plundering and pillaging, well, then their interaction with the nomads could be very, very dangerous, in which the nomads would have numbers and a desire to survive. However, if you're working with a group that is a little bit more political and ready to engage in conversation with the group, the nomad experience could actually be very, very pleasant. And so nuances in how people interact with each other is embedded throughout the Morticians world. And I mentioned earlier, the digital version is on Drivethru-RPG and is a great opportunity to explore this world, the encounter, the introductory undertaking. We call all of our missions undertakings. That was supplied to us. That name was supplied to us by one of our fans on Discord, who their name escapes me right now. But I really, really loved it. I was like, oh yeah, undertaking. That's exactly what these groups are called. Morticians going out on these undertakings. And I lost my train of thought. There we go. So, undertakings, Drivethru-RPG. Yeah, so the introductory undertaking is an opportunity to explore the world. It starts out very straightforward and is structured in a way. The first half is structured in a way to kind of teach players how to play. And then after that, the world kind of opens up a little bit. And it's for levels 1 through 6. And we're actually in the works right now for what we're calling zines. If you're new to the RPG world, zines are short, single sheets of paper on both sides that have an all-encompassing campaign. And so we're looking to explore that, along with the fact that we're going to be releasing the core rulebook this year. So, if you haven't liked and subscribed, check out our channel. Try to follow us on Instagram for news on these updates as they come out live. And I thought today would be fun if we went ahead and kind of took a look at. See, I didn't prep that, so maybe not. Let's see here. I'm going to take a little look around here, and yes, that's not prep. So I was thinking about exploring character development and creating a character live on the air. But I didn't prep for that, so we'll do that next episode. We're going to be doing this every Thursday between 12:30 and 1:30. And unlike everything else, this will be a weekly occurrence. So why don't you go ahead, if you have any comments or concerns, go ahead and hit up the chat and let me know. I am looking to do this to reach out and communicate with the audience. We are an independent game company, so our audience is small, and we're looking to grow that audience and communicate with them and see what they're looking for with in what their expectations, hopes, and desires are for a zombie apocalypse role-playing game. But what we'll do instead is, how about we'll talk about creating a game from scratch for future funeral directors. So funeral directors is what we call our game masters. So for future funeral directors, how would you build your zombie apocalypse game? So let's start out with a very simple idea. Morticians does take place in Sanctuary Valley, but the game core rules and everything are designed so it could be dropped in any place in the world. That was by design, because obviously, even though Sanctuary Valley is kind of thematically around California Central Valley, the 10% of survivors wouldn't just be in California. It would be scattered across the entirety of the country and across the world for that matter. So things were designed. So how would you create a Morticians game? What I always like to do is try to come up with a general idea of where my Morticians are at in the world. How far along is the organization developed? Is it the early years where they're still kind of figuring stuff out, and so equipment like their smocks and their cleavers are still handmade in a mix match of supplies? Or has it been organized for a while, been running for a while, and so everything is kind of not machine manufactured, but built within the city and then distributed to the Morticians? Once I have the idea of where we're at as far as a timeline's concerned, then I look for general story ideas. One I recently ran with Ladies of the Hoard was Hatfields and McCoys, in which they came across. Looks like we've got our first chat and someone's trying to sell me something. So let's see here. How do we... first time chat, guaranteed to be the best, flexible, and whatever. Refresh them out, inspect me. I'm going to have to learn how to ban people. Figure that out. Chat settings. Well, we'll just let that sit for now, and I'll have to talk to my good friend Jax Murray Gaming about the exact way I'm supposed to handle those things. Where were we? Oh yeah, the Hatfields and McCoy. Kept it really loose, really simple. The idea was that the undertaking comes across a simple town that's split, divided right down the middle, in which one side was upset with the other side. Now, once I came up with that, I was like, okay, so why are they fighting, right? Why is there this community divide, right? And on top of that, how many members of that community are actually in the division. So I came up with some fun ideas and tried to explore it and kept it really loose. So the first one was that not everyone in town was a member of the Hatfields or the McCoys, and I forget what last names I used. I think I used backers' names for the character names. But there were members of the community that were just middle of the fence. They're like, look, we just live here. We have to deal with this every day. You both are stupid. And they were part of that community. So now we have three factions, right? We've got the Hatfields, the McCoys, and everybody else who just has to suffer through this infighting. And then I try to figure out what sparked the divide between the two of them. And what I came up with was that the food supply, which was delivered through a trade group, was tainted and people were getting sick. As people were getting sick, the town didn't know where it was coming from, and accusations started flying. Now, one member of the community ran the general store. They controlled the food supply distribution throughout the town. The other member of the community was the leader of the town, and so thus a fight broke out, if I'm remembering that correctly. So that was where it began. But then I wanted to throw a little gasoline on the fire. And what we had was one of the members of the families was murdered. So now we have a murder mystery. So we have two things going on for the players to kind of explore. All of this was packed into a small fenced-in community. And then I laid out different opportunities for them to interact with everyone, so that they could slowly suss out what was going on. And what I did was, to be perfectly honest, I made it up as I went along. I fed off of my players' reactions and tried to act or develop it before they had another discovery. If you're interested in seeing what happened more with that, you can go ahead and check. I think that was episode 13 of Ladies of the Hoard. So you could always check out and see how that developed. It was lots of fun. It kind of came up with it on the fly, but that's how I generally approach a lot of my storytelling with the players. Is I come up with a general idea, something simple. These are heroes' journeys. There are over 1 million different heroes' journey stories. So whatever you want to throw at your players, I say rob and steal those ideas. The classic one of the hero's journey, you've got, the Star Wars, Percy Jackson. What's that one with the Katniss Evergreen? The Hunger Games. All of these are hero's journey stories, and each ones are in different situation. You can even tap into the superhero comics, because all of those have, over the breadth of their storytelling, high points, low points, and it's the character's journey. And you can throw those things at your players. When in doubt, steal someone else's idea. A good classic one is the Mad Max idea of the ex-cop who goes and wanders the earth. And I'm going to explore a little bit with the zombie trail about players exploring the earth. The idea behind that campaign is actually from the 1970s TV series Kung Fu, in which David Carradine's character walks the earth from town to town, and every time he goes to a new town, there's a new problem for him to solve. And I like that idea of that, exploring the world and developing the world around the players as they experience firsthand their interactions with these NPCs. And it gives me an opportunity to go through the Rolodex of different things players could go through. So that's kind of how I develop a little bit for the gameplay. Let's see here. Oh, we've been at this for 30 minutes. How exciting. I'm really stoked about this. What else do we want to talk about today? I had a list of things, and I feel like I kind of burned through all of that in 15 minutes. And so I was like, oh man, I really need to figure out, it's interesting when you prepare for a game, you write 5 pages of stuff, and you may go through 1 page of ideas when you plan your encounters. I'm finding I write one page of things for these live streams, and I burn through them in 20 minutes, and then I'm sitting there going, oh geez, how underprepared do I feel? Um, you know, Morticians is about heroes though, and I try to encourage my players. Morticians are the good guys. They are the ones when everything's said and done and people are scared, Morticians go in and they give a helping hand. 1 second. I should have killed that. And I apologize for this interruption. Brought to you by the Digital Leash. The Digital Leash. The Digital Leash. Live your life in servitude with a phone in your pocket. All right, where was I? The heroes. So yeah, that's what I try to encourage with my players is that they are the good guys. It seems to happen in with a lot of players today, and maybe it's a reflection of our society. I don't really know. You know, we have the term murder hobo, and that has one connotation, but really, there is a level of distrust that I'm seeing in players when they interact with the NPCs. You can throw a very nondescript NPC at them, and they're like, "Well, who is this NPC really?" And there's a lot of people taking this position of fear, interacting with the NPCs and not trusting anyone. So what I like to do is I try to make it about 50-50. Yes, there are NPCs they shouldn't trust, and there are definitely an evil in the world or corrupt. But for the most part, 50% of them are just people going about their day. They're scared. They're trying to figure stuff out. They're in the same boat. Everyone's in the same boat. And so they're trying to do what's best for their family. And yeah, there's the deeper conversation of like a villain. Like villains never think they're the bad guy. They always think, oh, well, I'm doing this for the greater good. But that scales, and that scale is fun to play with your NPCs. I'm doing what's best for my family on a small scale doesn't seem like supervillainy. And in act, if you interact with a person without a lot of malice in your heart, you more often than not will come to the conclusion of resolution without conflict. And then that scales up from there. And how you scale that is always a bit of a crapshoot in my opinion. But yeah, scaling that gives your players a fuller experience of the world. If everyone's a villain, then all they're doing is fighting. And there's a place for that for some players. Some players just want to show up and start blasting. And I totally get that. There are some games that I like to play where I'm just like, all I want to do is show up and swing my great axe and kill some things and smash it. And there's sometimes I want to play a game where it's like, no, I want to be a little more nuanced and try to talk things out. And throwing those opportunities at the players eventually gets them to understand that the world is a lot more complicated. And if we try to reflect what we see in our world into the gaming world, they will have a fuller, more immersive experience. Haggling with a shopkeeper for goods is is an everyday kind of experience. Stealing from a shopkeeper and having the guards called on you is an everyday kind of experience. So throwing everyday kind of experiences and interactions means that NPCs, a good portion of them, should just be people going about their day, trying to do what's best for them throughout that day. And if that causes conflict with the players, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to escalate to violence. In fact, I like to write a lot of coward characters. Characters who, when push comes to shove, they'll buckle and they'll run away. And I take that opportunity to kind of I use that for players who are maybe overly aggressive with their fellow players, and kind of remind them, like, your character's supposed to be a person. It's supposed to be a living thing with emotions. How would it feel to just go around being a bully all the time? And some people, well, that's great. But most people go, oh, yeah, no, there are consequences for being a jerk in real life. There's going to be consequences for being a jerk in a game. So that's always fun. I like throwing a couple of cowards at people. And then there's nothing more dangerous than a coward. I forget who said that, because a coward will slink and scheme and try to figure how to win without physical violence, because they're a coward. They can't handle confrontation, so they try to get their win from avoiding confrontation as best as possible. So that's always fun too. So I think that's going to be it for today. We're going to keep this pretty short. I'm still working out on trying to figure out how to get OBS to do certain things. I like to be able to bring up maps and show you guys maps and other things. I think the current limit of my experience was just being able to bring up the let's see if I can do it now. It was see here. So like I think I had one here where I hit P for P.
We're recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the postmortem. It was an emotional episode. I think I've wrecked 3 people today.
And there we go. I'm going to kill the volume on that so you guys don't hear what they're actually saying. And then I was going to kill that. And so, as you can see, I'm still kind of working some of these bugs out, but I really do enjoy having these conversations. In the comments, in the description down below, I am going to add a Discord link if you want to join us on Discord and hang out with us on Discord. We're talking about the game. We do a lot of the uploads before they go live, end up on Discord. If you have questions and you just general questions like, why are you always wearing a Hawaiian shirt? I may explain that sometime. We do encourage our funeral directors to wear our Hawaiian shirts, and I'll do an episode where I explain why I'm always wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And then other news, we are done with the novel. I just need to have a couple editors go through it, and so keep on the lookout for the Kickstarter for that, which is going to be coming soon. More news on that. And without further ado, thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll catch you next time. You guys have a nice day.